everybody, welcome to this next video. I thought because I'd made some updates to the passive income tab that I went through in the last video, I thought it might be useful to give those that have followed along a updated an update to what I've done really. So the capital tab has not changed at all, so that still is just showing us our total capital investment and the different metrics we went through in the last video. The dividends tab as well hasn't changed. That's still the same as last time as well, no changes. So what has changed is this, I've replaced the the passive tab has been replaced with the fire tab, which probably better reflects my approach to really what we're doing with investments. So FIRE, if you don't know, stands for financial independence and retire early. And then obviously we've also got rid of the passive tab as well and added in this FIRE calcs tab as well, which we'll talk through. Otherwise, pretty much nothing else has changed. So just explain first of all the FIRE calcs tab. So BC columns BCD really haven't changed. That's basically just showing the date, the year and the month, which is pretty much just for plotting purposes to get the axes here looking nice and clean. This first screen section, columns E to G, what we're doing here really is, and obviously I've recalculated this to start from now because obviously we're not starting from scratch. So basically what I've done is I've worked out for me to meet my target of my passive income target of $7,382 a month, I basically need to invest $11,321 per month between now and December 2032 to be able to replace my active income with shares. So all we're really doing here is, and if you've got any questions on, I used a goal seek function in Excel. If you haven't used it before, a quick Google will help you. But again, if you've got any questions, just drop it in the comments, and I'm happy to help you. But you can use goal seek to basically work out what that is. And then here, all we're doing is just tracking the total amount we should have invested with the new amount. And then this column G here, really all it's really doing is I'm assuming a dividend yield of 5.5% going forward. So all it's really doing is multiplying by the total invested divided by 12 gives us the monthly forecast dividend. And so this line here really is pulled through into this line here, which is our monthly dividend, and you can see the forecast, the total invested forecast is pulling through into this top one here, which is showing total investment. So it's that yellow line here, obviously very similar sort of shape. So now we move into the purchase section, which is columns H to L really. So what we've done here is used a sum if-S statement just to work out, to look at the trades tab and say, well, between these two dates here, you can see, well, how much did I actually purchase from my trades tab? So it's a pretty cool little Excel formula where it can basically add up what I've added in from my trades tab here, which is pretty good. And then all we're doing here is an incremental increase as well. So previous month plus the amount we purchased in that month to give us the total here. And then a very similar formula here, again, a sum if S to look at the trades. Now, what we have done here is we've added in this new column from the previous tutorial, column I, which is basically looking at it's grabbing the dividend per share of each one. So it's doing a VLOOKUP to get the previous share dividend for that share and multiply it by how many shares I actually purchased in that trade. And that way what we're doing is we're getting effectively an incremental increase of me buying that share, how much dividends, here it is annually, how much dividend have I added to my annual total. So when I purchased Newcrest Mining, for example, it added $50 to my annual 68 shares in Newcrest, that added $50 to my annual dividend total is basically all that's doing there really. So this is just summing up for each month how much I've actually incrementally added to my dividends, which is all automated, which is great. And then this here really all it's doing is similar to other columns, just adding on the previous total to the new total for that month, just to plot the total line. And then here we're just calculating the total forecast dividend per month divided by the total purchase price, obviously divided times 12 to get the forecast yield. So currently sitting at about 5.6%, which is obviously pretty close to our target of portfolio target of 5.5%. So it'd be interesting actually over time, because I probably have been purchasing high yield stocks lately. So I'd expect actually that to increase over time, as I probably focus a bit more heavily on dividend rather than growth stocks. Although obviously I'll always want to keep a balance, or some sort of balance of the both, but I expect there'll be a higher proportion of high yield stocks. And then this number here really is the absolutely critical one, which is really just saying of my total dividend per month forecast, how much of that is out of my monthly target income. So that's my FIRE metric, which I'm currently sitting at 15.7% of my active income has been replaced by this portfolio, which I'm really excited about, and definitely looking forward to hitting 20%. Hopefully next year, fairly soon, into next year will be really exciting. And then this column here really is just for plotting, which we'll see in a minute. And then here we're using another sum if statement, looking at the dividends received tab, just to work out how much dividends I did actually receive in that month. So in the previous tutorial, we went through this spreadsheet, but you can see here I'm basically just adding in dividends as they're paid out to me. And all that's really doing is just adding up the actual dividends received by month. So that's pretty much that. And then here's probably really the only manual part of the spreadsheet, apart from the actual trades themselves and the dividends recording. But so at the end of every month, I basically record what the total of my portfolio is, just so I can plot it in the charts. So that's pretty much what I've changed. So I've deleted the passive tab and added in this new Fire Calcs tab, and all of that basically pulls through into here. So this top one here is the total amount actually invested. So the yellow line really is, as we said before, was showing that my objective of that 11,300 per month, where that will get me by the end of 2032, and then the blue is my actual invested, so how much I've actually invested so far. So hopefully that will at least equal the yellow line as we go forward. And then the market total is how much the actual portfolio is worth. So obviously the market's down a bit this year, so I'm a bit below what I've purchased, but I'm totally okay with that. Definitely looking to buy more and more as the market's cheap. So this green line will track that actual total, which over time we hope will obviously be then above what I've actually paid. So the next chart down is really then a very similar vein, but this time looking at the actual dividend side of things. So the planned dividend, which is that to reach my total of 7,300. This is the profile of the yellow line. And then the blue is the actual forecast. So just explain that. So it's a weird name, but this is the actual forecast here. So because dividends are not paid evenly, some are annual, some are monthly, some are biannual, and so forth. So I use a total. I'm using my forecast dividend per year. So once I buy the share, I'm assuming that I'm applying that dividend to my I guess calculations, as I explained in my last video. So this basically is just it's the forecast based on what the shares are paying in dividends. So it's kind of an actual forecast. It's a weird metric, but I find for me this works better than the actual, just because the actual is up and down so much. And obviously that should jump around this yellow and blue line as we go forward. But I find the blue is just a good metric as to, technically speaking, with these investments, this is the dividend that I should be receiving over time. So that's basically how that chart works. And this bottom one really here is to try and help me keep track of how much I'm actually investing per month. So you see November, December haven't been great. Just had a few birthdays and Christmas and a few things on, which I've had to put money a bit elsewhere, but hopefully we can get back to that fairly ambitious target of 11,000 a month over next year. It's definitely going to be difficult, but that's the point, is to make it a bit of a stretch. So this here we can just basically track our total our plan versus actual investment per month. And that pretty much is it. Nothing else really has changed in here. So it's really just those two tabs are different. And on the trades tab, we've added in that column I, as we discussed. Otherwise, it's pretty much as per the previous tutorial. Hopefully this is enough to help you. If you have followed my previous tutorial, hopefully it's enough for you to update yours. Look, if it's not and you want some help, I'm more than happy to help anyone. Just drop me a comment or a message or anything, and happy to help, or or do a different video explaining things in more detail. The goal seek stuff's pretty cool. If you haven't used it before, it's quite a good little function where you can basically use Excel to actually calculate something. But if you haven't used it before, Google it. If you get stuck, just please let me know. Hope you enjoyed watching, or was at least helpful. Hope everyone has a great sort of festive period, and look forward to seeing you all again sometime soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.